Greetings to Africans on the continent and to Africans around the world. This is King H. There's an article that I'm going to analyze, and this article I got it from nationaltelegraph.net. Now, National Telegraph is a young news media organization that has writers for over 15 countries in Africa. They just recently released their app, so you could look that up. And in their app, they have music playing all through. You could listen to African music. It's a social media that is promoting the culture and custom and revolutionizing the ideas of African people. So you should check it out. But the article that I'm going to talk about is titled "Cameroon Administrator Reacts to Gambia's Barrow training Presidential Guards in Senegal." Top Cameroonian administrator undermined Gambian's president Adama Barrow for training presidential guards in Senegal. Now, I'm for Pan-Africanism. I am for Pan-Africanism. I believe that African people should be working across their continent, should be working with other African people. But the fact that the president of Gambia decided to train his presidential guard in Senegal is not wise, because Senegal is completely linked to France, and France is a nation that we are at war with. Many people might not see it that way, but we are at war since they stepped their legs in the continent of Africa, and they have continued to exploit the people of Africa. And we have certain leaders in French African nations that gives them the right, the leverage to continue exploiting the people of Africa. So the president of Gambia is not making a smart or wise decision to allow his presidential guards to be trained in Senegal. And the amount of presidential guards that were trained in Senegal are 150. And among those 150, you have 9 women. That's not fair. But then again, that is Africa. Why would you train a lot more men than women? But then again, those women who were trained gotta be very exceptional, because it's not easy to be a presidential guard. So kudos to them. And the guy, Peter Tien Nde, is a divisional officer from Cameroon who is reacting to the president of Gambia having training his presidential guards in Senegal. Peter Tien Nde, the divisional officer of Cameroon, has condemned the president of Gambia for training his presidential guards in Senegal. Peter Tien Nde stated that Gambia's president has no sense of direction. He thinks Barrow is sheepishly following Macky Sall of Senegal. And Macky Sall of Senegal is the president of Senegal, who actually aided in removing the former president of Gambia through ECOWAS. And if you think about ECOWAS, you have 8 countries that recently rejected the currency the eco currency that has been discussed for so long by the eco community. But France, remember, France has some some control, some leverage in Africa through the French African nations. So 8 of the French African nations went along with France, and they pretty much decided, France and the president of Ivory Coast single-handedly took over the discussion of eco currency and brought it to the world when the eco members had not sat together to make the decision, which is why 6 countries, 5 being English-speaking countries and 1 French-speaking country, rejected eco currency. That was pretty much masterminded by France and the French African nations in West Africa. So again, France has an agenda for Africa, but Africa doesn't have an agenda for Africa. And because they don't have an agenda for Africa, they keep swaying back and forth to the Western world, and those who are powerful who determine how the world is ruled, which is the white power structure. And among the white power structure, France is one of them. France has an agenda for French African nations and also has an agenda for the rest of Africa who are not colonized by France. So it is right that this divisional officer from Cameroon, who proudly stated that he's from southern Cameroon, who proudly stated that he's I'll get back to that, but he made a statement at the end where was the statement? I'll get back to that statement. Let me just continue what I'm doing. But the fact is this. For the president of Gambia to have his presidential guard being trained in in Senegal, is not wise. Because it's not a wise decision for him to do that. Because France has an agenda for Africa. France has an agenda for ECOWAS, which is why they stole the show. And the people of Africa don't have control of their own destiny. But TND believes that the sovereignty of Gambia will be compromised by Barrow sheepishly cozy up to Macky Sall, the president of Senegal. But I will state this. As a Pan-Africanism, I'm looking at it from both points of view. For the president of Gambia to work with the president of Senegal, it's a Pan-African ideology that needs to be promoted, but must be done with the spirit and unity of the African people. That has not been done that way, because thousands of Gambians are demanding for Barrow to peacefully step down and respect his promise. When he took over after the fall of the former president in Gambia, he promised the coalition member in 2016 that he will only rule for 3 years and hand over power to the political parties. But their 3 years up, and he refused that. He's going to go by the constitution, which is 5 years. For somebody to make a promise and then decide to defer from that promise is very questionable. This is somebody who got lucky to becoming president in Gambia and is sitting in the power and he feels how good power is, and he doesn't want to step down. He doesn't want to follow his own bylaws, his own promise that he made. So the Gambian people need to push forward to make sure that the guy is stepped down, or to make sure that he does what is right for Gambia. But this is King H. I'll end it here.